So when you look at some of the issues with supply chain vulnerabilities, the problem is for some companies, it broadens the attack surface for the threat actor. So if you as a company are working closely with some of your vendors, you need to know how connected you are with them. Are you connected in a way where their security posture becomes your security posture and their vulnerabilities becomes your vulnerabilities? You need to know that. And if it is, then you need to make sure that it's managed and that you know what the challenges might be. We do see some incidents where it appears that the attack actually happened because a third-party vendor of the victim company had vulnerabilities that the victim company didn't know about. So it's very important to cover this and to know where your attack surface is. I think it's important to say when we're talking about legislation, we need to look at the purpose of it. And I think there are suggestions out there right now that would enhance some of the requirements we have to companies in the preparation phase, but also in the reporting phase after an incident. And I think it's important that we look at, when we talk broadly about policies, it's also important that we talk about how will they be enforced? What will the balance be between policy enforcement and government support? I think that is kind of the key objective that we need to get to. And what are we getting out of the requirements we have? Say, when you're talking about requirements about reporting, what will the reporting information, what will it be used for? Are we going to get value out of it to help companies in the future? So I think that's some of the key components that needs to be worked in when you're talking about a legislative framework in this area. When you look at the 2025 report, there are 6 key findings in there, 6 key trends that we've uncovered. We're definitely seeing, number one, is we're seeing more efficiency from law enforcement activities. Law enforcement are more successful at actually fighting back on some of these threat actor groups, and we're seeing some downstream effects of that. It's important to say that some of the successes that law enforcement are having currently is because companies who get attacked share information with law enforcement. Sometimes companies have and this is quite understandable, they reach out to law enforcement if they need something from law enforcement. But when we're talking about ransomware incidents, sometimes companies could also benefit from actually thinking, do I need something from law enforcement or do they need something from me? Because they need the information. And when law enforcement is able to take down some of these groups, it's often because affected companies provided, a small piece of the puzzle along the way. And that is one of the other key findings in the report is enhanced collaboration. And some of the law enforcement results that we've seen is because of collaboration. So I think when you're talking about the proposal to have a ban on ransom payments, I think it's important again to go back to the balance. What are we trying to achieve here? And how will it be enforced? Will it be an absolute ban? Will it be a partial ban? Will there be an approval scheme where under certain circumstances you can actually pay the ransom? I think that is important to understand before we can actually try to understand, will this be efficient? I think one of the things you definitely have to consider when you're talking about a ban is, will we potentially push some victims away? Will there be victims who will not report because they're afraid that they will get into a position where they won't be allowed to pay the ransom if need be? No company should ever pay unless it's absolutely necessary. And if those companies choose to not report the incident, will we then see less intelligence that we need? So I think it's really important that there's a balance in it. But of course, it's an interesting proposal to consider under the right circumstances. So some of the intelligence that we provide to the companies that we work with actually allow them to see if you look at companies who are under attack today, what is the information that they wish that they had known yesterday that maybe could have prevented the attack? So we gather all of that intelligence from the incidents we work on, and then we share it with the companies that we work with to hopefully prevent an attack tomorrow. And again, looking at the report, we talked about the strength of collaboration is where we share this intelligence and hopefully can prevent attacks further down the road. So when you look at security, resilience is really key. And what is resilience? Well, resilience is making sure that your data is available when you need it and where you need it. So it could be that, natural disaster, an outage, or as most companies, it could be a cyber attack. And it's really important that if you encounter one of those situations, that your data is still available where you need it and when you need it and how you need it. And that's kind of resilience in its core, which is really important. And to find out more about this, companies can visit the Veeam website to look more at our solutions and also more about the intelligence that I talked about before.